Alright, Shalom Akims. Sir Brother Bunna, welcome back to another one. It's Spirit and Proud Yahawashi. First and foremost, I give all praise and glory be unto Heavenly Father and His Son, Yahawah, Sham, Yahawashi. Double honors to the elders and apostles over their great millstone and the will and time and His truth and His sincere citation unto their brethren, pushing His word through truth and sincerity, risking their life and freedom to do so. Okay? I just wanted to do a video on this article I came across about basically your money being devalued. The value of your money basically drops every day. The money in your account, the dollar, and basically we were going into this the last camp. I believe it was Friday, if I'm not mistaken. And this shit was it was crazy, man. Because when you look at it, all right, this is aligning with everything else that's happening. Basically between Iran and America, dealing with the oil and you have BRICS, these nations forming together to basically align to basically create a gold standard, okay, against the Federal Reserve, okay, and start purchasing power in pesos and I forgot the other one. I think it's yuan, okay. So this is basically the future, man. Don't be surprised, man. We told you, certain things are gonna start to disappear. Certain qualities of food, food brands, pennies, nickels, dimes, dollars, and that's how it is in these other countries too. When you go to these other countries, especially like the islands, Asia, a lot of they purchase things with bigger quantities of money. What I mean by that is they don't really use pennies or dimes or whatever. They use straight up $100 bills and stuff like that. Okay. Obviously if you collect a good amount of dimes, you can cash it in for something bigger. You bring it to a place and cash it in. But hey, man, a lot of this money, obviously we know it's fake, but the value of the money is dropping day by day, man. Okay, right? This is the penny's already dead, because the nickel would be the next to go. Another step to cashless, right? And that's obviously the next step. Okay, that's obviously the next step. All right, that's what I was talking about last at camp. Okay, I basically went into a bit about how this dollar is dying. I even went into and I brought out how Mexico by 2027 they want to start digital. What is it called? Slovakia. They want to start customers purchasing gasoline and things in like convenience stores and businesses by 2027. They want to go digital with that aspect, man. Okay, so that's first steps, man. Okay, that says another step to cashless. A basic piece of U.S. currency is once again under scrutiny as the cost of producing the 5-cent coin continues to exceed its face value. Right, so it's costing more to make these than it is. Okay, how well it does in the economy. Okay, I told you guys, man. A lot of people, obviously, not to shit on anybody, but the lower class individuals, they will use these, man. They will cash these out. They'll collect these. Okay, they'll bring it to there's a money machine that counts it, and you can get bills instead. You can use it at, again, the convenience stores. You could throw it on gas, anything like that, man. Okay, and that's what they said about the penny a couple years ago. The penny's been discontinued, I think, for roughly almost 10 years now. Okay, right? And that's the same thing they were saying. They're saying it was useless, and even from when I was even younger, I remember pennies, man. We used to collect them and throw them in the pond for fun. We never used to purchase anything with it. Okay, so this is the first steps. Not first steps. This is well in the steps. Slovakia. All right. It says the issue is not new, but it becoming harder to ignore. Right. So again, exactly. That's what we've been trying to tell you guys, man. A lot of these issues that America's been having, that's been swept under the rug. Okay, tensions with other nations, devaluing dollar day by day, stock markets and different markets, they're starting to become more of a problem because America's reach with certain things is shrinking, man. Okay, especially deals with these other countries, man. It's starting to shrink and it's starting to become more and more noticeable. Okay, it says for years the U.S. Mint has spent significantly more than 5 cents to manufacture a single nickel, creating a steady financial loss for the government. Okay, and you already know once the government starts going broke, what do they start doing? They start rolling on new tax laws. They start cutting back on costs. You already see when Trump, when he came into the office, he was cutting down $1 million programs. Okay, I remember one of them was counting how many squirrels there are in America. Okay, they used to go around counting how many squirrels. I don't know if it was specifically in parks or just in the wildlife in general. They used to do that. They had a program for that, and they cut that. Okay, so this shit's it's just funny, man, because this is everything that we've been trying to tell you guys, man. Each nickel costs more than it's actually worth. The report notes highlighting a gap driven largely by rising metal prices and production expenses. And this is what happened in Rome, actually, because once the money started to get devalued, they didn't start using raw materials. They started using metal. Okay, a lot of their coins were made out of gold. Gold, obviously, back then never really they didn't use Federal Reserve, but this is the same kind of concept, man. Once Rome's money started getting devalued, they started cutting silver and gold and even copper out of their money. Okay, and started using metals and stuff. You know what I'm saying? To make up for the loss of that and to cut back costs, man. Okay, this is the same concept, guys. This is the same concept that happened in Rome. All right. It says nickels are made from a mix of copper and nickel. There you go. All right. It says fluctuations in those commodity markets have pushed costs higher, while the coin still carries a face of value of 5 cents. Its underlying expenses have climbed well beyond that threshold. The imbalance puts nickels in a similar position to a penny. Okay, so there you go, man. Okay, and this is eventually gonna go to $5 bills. Okay, this is eventually going to go to $10 bills, $20 bills. This is exactly how it goes, guys. Okay, we've seen this well throughout history, how this ends up, man. Okay, right? Isaiah chapter 13, verse 17, it says, Behold, I will stir up the Medes against them. Okay, and that's these other nations. These other nations are being stirred up. That's exactly what Iran was talking about. If you guys go watch back the interview when they were, when Trump basically attacked Iran, Iran said, "Hey, man, keep doing what you do." You know what I'm saying? What were they attacking? They were attacking the oil reserves. They were blowing up American oil tankers, which cost money. They're just gonna keep going after that money, man. So America, and they were using what $1,000 drones, while America was using, uh, um, what is it called? I don't know if it was missiles, $100,000 missiles. Okay, $500,000 missiles just to blow up things, man. So again, this is what happens, man. When you have to cut back on costs, you got to cut things like this. This is directly going to affect the economy. Okay, all right, because you guys think it's just a nickel. Yeah, okay. When it starts to get to $2, a dollar, you know what I'm saying, right? And then it gets to $5, $10. They're gonna do the same thing. They're just gonna cut back costs and make. They're just gonna. That's why a lot of places they don't. The common theme is they don't accept $100 bills because it's too big to break. It's too big to break. They got to keep those nickels and dimes when they're in the cash office. When they go to the banks, they got to keep those. They can't just use $100 bills, guys. Okay, so you have things like this. This is the same thing that happened in Rome. They started eliminating certain dollar bills and coins. That's the same thing they were doing. Okay, which shall not regard silver, and as for gold, they should not delight in it. Okay, and that's in these end times. Okay, obviously when the destruction becomes more relevant, okay, money will not be a thing. People are going to be burning money in the streets, just like in those movies, those post-apocalyptic movies. They're burning money, paper money to stay warm. Okay, same concept, man. Okay, right? Let's see what else they got to say here. It says the imbalance puts nickels in a similar position as pennies, which has already faced efforts to be phased out. Lawmakers and economists have increasingly questioned whether it makes sense to continue producing low-value coins that operate at a loss. And there you go. Okay, this highlights a bigger problem. By the way, guys. Okay, right? This highlights a bigger problem. Right? This highlights a bigger problem because this is directly America's money being affected. The cost of money is being affected. Okay, right? So like I'm just pulling up scriptures. Right? It says, according to the report, the problem has persisted for years. The U.S. Mint has been losing money on nickels for nearly 2 decades. That's 20 years, man. Okay, and America, they can't really keep affording to deal with these losses, man. That's why a lot of things are starting to come to light, because again, America's reach is not, they can just throw away money before. They can't do that no more, man. Especially when you're going to war. You're going to war, you got to cut back all those costs, man. Okay, a lot of you guys don't realize a lot of American tax dollars fund Israel, not only just Israel, but America's fleet and army. Okay, you know how much money America spends on a military? I'm pretty sure you can just Google it. It'll tell you. You know how much money America spends just on the military, funding, making weapons, etc. I'm pretty sure not even all the data is out there. Okay, right, right. It says eliminating the nickel would be not a simple decision. The coin plays a role in cash transactions. What do we just say, guys? I told you guys, man. These little coins, little and the $1 bill, they help with transactions. They make transactions way easier. You're able to, you don't just have to give out $100 bill. You can give out 20s, 50s. You know what I'm saying? It helps it helps it better. Okay. When they get to the larger amounts, that's when they start using the $100 bills. All right, because it gets to the amount faster. Okay. Right. It says pricing structures and rounding practices. Exactly. When you want to round the price. Okay, so it's gonna make it harder. This shit's gonna make it 10 times harder. It's as if it were removed, businesses would likely need to round totals to the nearest 10 cents. A shift that could have a ripple effect across everyday purchases. Okay? Telling you guys, man. I'm telling you guys, this is how this shit goes. This is the start of it, man. This is the start of it. This is how Rome fell, guys. Okay? They had to cut down, they had to keep cutting I don't know what it's called, man. They had to cut the quantity of gold they were putting in the coins, gold and silver, and even copper. They were cutting back on that because they couldn't afford the raw materials. They couldn't afford to go and get the raw materials. They didn't have the raw materials. So what did they do? They just started putting metal in the fucking coins. And then even that, okay, you have to go and get those materials to make the product, guys. So if you can't keep up with that pricing, okay, getting materials costs labor. Okay, all right, this is just basic stuff, man. This is Zephaniah chapter 1, verse 18. It says, neither their silver nor gold shall be able to deliver them in that day, in the day of the Lord's wrath. Okay, because that's exactly what it's leading to. It's going to lead to the day of the Lord, man. When money's value is dropped, when price of bread is $1,000, man, and all you got is $200 in cash, and you can't access your bank account, man. This is the steps that's going to take. There's going to be like, hey, man, we can't even do all that. Let's just put all this in one system. Let's just put it all in a digital system. And y'all can just tap it out of. You can just tap away. You ain't got to count no coin. I remember back when I first came into the truth, that's what they were talking about. That was a common theme about the mark of the beast. Okay, they're basically saying how, hey, which is actually a thing. It's called RFID technology. Okay, they said tap away. You don't have to count nothing. You don't got to worry about losing your cards. You don't have to. Which RFID technology is already in your credit card and debit cards, because it's literally tap. Okay, it's literally a chip. The chip's just bigger. Okay, right, and it's you can just tap that shit. Okay, they're gonna say, hey, let's get rid of all this. We don't have to worry about cutting costs. We don't have to worry about expenses. Let's just put all this into a system, and y'all can tap away as much as you need, and all your money will be in one wallet with all your identification. That's exactly what RFID. Go Google it. Okay, RFID technology is about. Okay, it's also they tell you, oh, we're gonna protect you from the scammers, the people that walk up and can just tap your phone with a device and take all your personal information. Okay, your money in your online banking. They gonna come with all that stuff, man. They already we already know how they're gonna come with it, man. Okay, it says, but the whole land shall be devoured by the fire of his jealousy, for he shall make even a speedy riddance of them that dwell in the land. Okay, it says there are also logistics and political confrontations, even the digital payments. There, we just said it, guys. Digital payments grow. Cash remains widely used. Cash is the most used thing, guys. When they go into the bank, in order to put it into the digital wallets, they need cash. You need physical evidence of that money. You can't just, what I'm saying? You can't just put money there, man. Which is also what they want to do, because they already print from the Federal Reserve. They print money that doesn't exist. Okay, It says segments of the economy. Some analysts argue that the real question is not just about costs, but usefulness. At some point, you have to ask whether the coin will still serve a meaningful role in commerce. Okay, the articles suggest. Okay, so there you go, man. Okay, I thought I was doing a little quick video on this, man. But this is basically what I was talking about last week, man. That dollar's getting weaker and weaker every day, and that's why these other nations, they just sitting back. They're gonna keep making America spend money that they don't have. Okay, and a lot of America's allies, when America did what they did to Iran, they tried to go to France, they tried to go to the EU. Okay, they're giving people, oh yo, we need help with this. Ain't nobody trying to help them no more, man. They see what's coming down the pipeline, man. All right, so with that, man, I'm gonna give all praise and glory to the Father and the Son, Yahawashi, Shai, double on as an apostle, the great millstone, the time of truth, and the sincere citation to the brethren. Till next time, I can say shalom, and Lord, you guys ratified.